still held captive by Hamas and other terror groups since the October 7th attack more than 7 months ago. Omer Neutra, a Long Island native, was serving in the Israeli military when Hamas stormed into southern Israel, kidnapping him and more than 200 others. Omer's parents, Ronen and Orna Neutra, are left waiting for word on their son. They join us now live to talk more about who their son is and the situation there that they are dealing with. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and to share your story, your son's story, and your family's story.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning.
Well, first off, can you start by explaining more about your son, Omer, and what happened to him on October 7th?
So Omer was born on Long Island in Plainview, where we've been living for the past 23 years. He's, to a great extent, an all-American kid. He loves sports. We keep saying how thrilled he would be with the Knicks these days. He's been tracking them his whole life, waiting for a season like this. He turned 22 on October 14th. He was captive. At the time, a week after he was taken captive, and grew up on Long Island in the Jewish community, strong ties to the community, and also a very big family in Israel. His grandparents on both sides, Holocaust survivors, escaped from Europe to Israel and were, the founders of the state. So he grew up with this duality, strong connection to the U.S., strong connection to Israel. And the kind of guy that he is, he's all his life, he's taken leadership positions all throughout high school. He was the captain of the sports team. He took leadership roles in his youth group. And he's the kind of guy that, will take a leadership role. When he feels that he has to do the right thing, he will do the right thing. And although he was accepted to college and he was enrolled in Binghamton, he took a gap year. He came to Israel, and spending time in Israel, getting to know the country, the people, he felt that he needed to serve. And that's where he was on October 7th, with on a small post, protecting the different kibbutzim, the villages that were on the border that day.
And you both have been traveling around the world pretty much to get the message out about your son and the other hostages. Why has it been so important for you and your family to do that?
First of all, we can't stand still and just wait. We have to do something. So since day one, we decided we're going to be active together with a lot of other hostage families and do whatever we can to influence, make sure that nobody forgets, people understand what happened on October 7th. It's not just an Israeli thing far away. It's a global humanitarian crisis with 240 hostages that were taken from 24 countries with all main religions. And we have to make sure that everybody understands that. We want to make sure that people remember that on October 7th, 1,200 people were murdered, slaughtered, and raped, among them 45 Americans, and 12 Americans were taken. And since that day, 8 Americans are kept hostage. Out of them, 3 are known to be murdered and 5 are known to be alive. And it's up to the world and, of course, United States to do everything possible to bring those hostages back. It's over 224 days. It's over 7 months in terrible conditions. And, the world, everybody in the United States need to understand it's urgent. Those people are dying. Only yesterday we were notified that 2 Thai hostages are known to be dead. That was an announcement that was put out yesterday. It's just urgent, and people need to understand. And I guess that's our role, to make sure that people don't forget.
Does your family believe that the Israeli government and the American government are doing enough to help get the hostages back home?
I don't think we feel they're doing enough. Like Ronen said, it's 224 days into this war. I couldn't have believed we could not, early on that we'd still be in this predicament. We know that the American government is committed to bringing the hostages home, but it's not enough until they're out. It's not a done deal. There's still work to be done. We know that there's a deal. There's been a deal that was put together by the different mediators. And Hamas has not accepted this deal, and it's unacceptable to us. This has to be, the momentum has to be kept going, and until there's a resolution.
We like to see more pressure put on Qatar and Egypt, on Israel and on Hamas, and to see a more active role also by the United States, understanding it's not their problem, so to speak. It's our problem. We're Americans. There are 8 Americans there. 45 were murdered. We have to bring the Americans home, and with them, the rest of the hostages.
And you kind of already touched on this, but what message do you want to make sure gets out to the people who are watching this right now? What do you want to say to them directly?
I think we want to say that this is a global humanitarian crisis. There are citizens of 24 countries that were taken on that day. This is not just an Israeli issue. It's not just an American issue. This is a terrorist organization that invaded a sovereign state during a ceasefire, murdered, slaughtered, raped, mutilated, burned alive citizens, took people hostage, and we can't allow this to be normalized. We need to stand up as Western society and say we will not tolerate this, and this has to be resolved.
Today it happened in Israel. Tomorrow it can happen anywhere in the world. We can't tolerate innocent people taken hostage and just keep this as a norm. We are okay with that. It's not okay. They have to come home.
Thank you both so much for taking the time to join us here and to share, as I mentioned, your story, your son's story. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, we are appreciative to the Biden administration for everything they've done so far, but we urge them to do more, press every possible, look for any possible way in bringing the American hostages back and the rest of the hostages as well. They cannot stand still.
Ronen and Orna Neutra, thank you again for taking the time to be here with us today.